Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, as per usual, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, my thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts every single day with my members when the market is open, especially in the first couple hours of the day. That's usually when the majority of the price action really goes and kind of sets the pace for the day. So yeah, again, just that link is down below at the top of the description of each and every single YouTube video. For just $3 a month, you get access to my YouTube membership section with my constant updates, technical analysis updates, etc., mainly on Tesla stock, sometimes other stocks. Today I talked about Google. Or for $5 a month, you get access to that whole tier I just mentioned. In the first tier, of course, the $3 tier. But you also get access to the NVIDIA daily updates in the $5 tier on top of it. So all that being said and done, let's jump into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy, again, don't forget to hit that like button. And I'm not a financial advisor if I haven't said it, but NVIDIA closing the day up a respectable 0.9% on a fairly unhappy market day. NVIDIA holding pretty strong, closing at almost $130 per share. But this is where we're finally starting to get pretty interesting stuff. I'm actually talking about Wyckoff. This is something interesting. I saw a lot of people talking about it, and it's very interesting. So I want to mention that. So NVIDIA, right now, transparency's sake, I finally exited my position. I had covered calls. I ended up not deciding to roll them, mainly because I do think we're at a major area of resistance, right? That's just, it is what it is, right? So all the shares I bought pretty much right around this general vicinity here. Yeah, I pretty much sold them right here. It was I think it was a 127 covered call, but I also got the premium, so I'm pretty much selling it with the premium included at like 129 and change, I think it was. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. I'm all good, right? But this is where it's interesting, right? And again, people are gonna think, oh, now because you exited your shares, you're gonna start saying bearish things. It's like, no, the only reason I exited my shares is because I think there's some bearish things potentially, of course, forming. So first and foremost, we have officially reverted back to the mean, right? NVIDIA substantially oversold, well below the Bollinger Bands, and it snapped back right into the mean beautifully. That's exactly what I want to see on the daily, and it is officially complete. Obviously, the issue here is the fact that we're still below it, right? You can see this kind of, the mean reversion line in the center with a little, bands around it, if you will, as well. It's red. Obviously, that's showing that, we're in bearish mode still, right? So if there's a place for NVIDIA to reject, it is essentially pretty much right here. Now, whether or not it's literally right here, whether or not it's maybe a little bit higher to 130 itself, 131, maybe even 132, I don't know. But pretty much, again, anywhere between this kind of 127, 128 starting region to, again, about that 132, maybe even as high as 133, that $5-4-ish price range, that is an area of massive resistance. I've said this many times. I've said this well back when we were down here. And it kind of is what it is, right? Again, this area has posed many powerful support bottomings into pretty strong reversals every single time, right? Over and over and over. And now we're kind of doing exactly what Tesla did, right? If I go to Tesla stock really quickly, same thing. Like, it's just, for demonstrational purposes, you can see literally the same thing. Like, tell me this doesn't look almost identical, right? Same with Tesla stock. How many times did it come down to these levels, right? How many times did it come down to these levels and have some decent reversals? Even this small little reversal here, but nonetheless. And what did it do today, right? It came right into that area, slightly overshot it, ever so slightly, but nonetheless, massive rejection and then follow through back to the downside. So this is roughly what I expect to happen with NVIDIA. It's just a simple support resistance flip. Like, it's just very simple stuff. Now, obviously, this could not be that. And there is a very nice bull case, which I'll talk about very soon for NVIDIA, that could be very promising for the bulls. But until proven, I expect this to be a resistance until the stock and the bulls tell me and show me otherwise. So let's see how this actually plays out. Very carefully watch for this, literally from here up until like 132 roughly. Watch for that, for this, general range. Watch how the stock reacts. You can see on the 4-hour chart, we are starting to, slowly get that curling action. We're not going as parabolically up anymore, right? You can technically draw like a trend line from here, right? And you can see, we're getting very close to potentially breaking this little very steep uptrend that we're in as of right now. So let's see how this actually plays out come Monday or like early next week. But the risk reward to me for further upside from here is no longer favorable until proven that this area has officially turned back into a support. Again, as of right now, I assume it will act as a resistance, especially with the mean reversion officially being finished. So That's the easiest way to put it. Now, I did mention there is one very nice bull case though, however, right? And that bull case is going to be without question the weekly. Now, the weekly chart is still going to show the same issues, right? It's still going to show the same resistance points, right? I will go over this very quickly one more time. For instance, the band that you can see here has officially turned red. That's concerning, right? And you can see how many times, like for how long, same thing on the daily, but just on the weekly, this kind of consolidation range that we had all the way around here, how many times we came into these areas down here and found significant bounces on the weekly as well, right? Unfortunately, we're coming up into it now, right? Which again, this area that did act as a support for many, many weeks and many instances of those weeks, in theory, you would expect this to turn into, well, resistance. Same idea on the daily, just on the weekly. However, I said I'll talk about something bullish here. The bullish side here, something that can potentially bring us back up into this range, into like, we'll say the low to mid 130s and turn it back into support and, fantastic, is the bullish engulfing candle. We did set up a bullish engulfing candle on the weekly. This is a very good, this is a very good bullish pattern actually. Now, with any bullish pattern or bearish pattern, you need confirmation. The confirmation would be ideally a green week candle closure next week. So if the next week's candle can close above today's highest or today's closing price, so essentially pretty much 130 or higher ultimately next week by Friday, of course, that's bullish. That would be bullish, and that would arguably trigger this large bullish engulfing candle. So let's watch for that. Let's see how that plays out. But again, this needs confirmation. The candle and the pattern is great, but it's useless and meaningless by itself. It needs that confirmation, right? So that's what you want to look for. But nonetheless, something to definitely watch out for next week. That could be what she needs to really get its way past back these, what should be massive areas of resistance, back up into those regions all the way up there. So let's see how that plays out ultimately, right? Let's see. But that's probably the main stuff to really look at for NVIDIA. But again, this is, this is not the time to be, I don't want to say it's not the time to be bullish, but it's kind of is what it is too, right? It isn't really the time to be bullish. Like, this isn't the time you look at NVIDIA at this level right here at 130 and be like, I'm buying. Yeah, you could get lucky. Yeah, this could rocket past, the 130 low one to closer to mid 130 resistance point and turn it back into support. Absolutely. But, you shouldn't ever assume that's going to happen until the stock tells you it happened, right? Because again, this is just same thing with Tesla stock. You're not going to assume that, Tesla stock was just going to, this will be a false breakdown and we'll just rocket back up. No, right? Of course not. You're not going to assume that. That's just not something you assume. You let the stock, if it recovers and shows that it wants to turn this area into, a false breakdown, and it wants to be a, take this area that was a support into a resistance and then potentially back into support, let it show you that. Let it tell you that that's happening, as opposed to assuming that's going to happen. So that's kind of my assumption here with NVIDIA stock. On the 4-hour chart, you can see we are starting to get a little bit overextended. We're near the top end of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hour chart. Our size a little bit on the more overbought side on the 4-hour chart as well. So this is just not a spot that I'm, confident in anymore, right? I need to see a bit more follow through. Now, the flip side is, let's say we do get some, downside. Let's say NVIDIA does reject from these levels, and let's say we do move to the downside. What are the levels to the downside? Well, about the mid 120s to the low 120s. I mean, take the Fibonacci from here to roughly the high of today, and you can see the first level will be about 124 roughly, which is at 382 Fibonacci, followed by the 618 sitting at closer to 120. Those are my main two levels to the downside. Worst case scenario is another visit to 116. I don't know if that'll happen. It could. It absolutely could. I mean, technically speaking, if we truly actually turn this area into a resistance and we actually do get a sharp rejection, technically speaking, there's nothing making us not potentially make our way to make even fresh lows on NVIDIA. That technically is a possibility, but we'll see, of course, one step at a time. Let's not assume too many things either. But if we do reject from here, 124 roughly to 120 are our main two levels to the downside, to which I most likely will be very happy to continue buying the dip. I will absolutely be re-entering the position there. But again, let's just see how it plays out. If NVIDIA can recapture the, low to mid 130s, great. I'll enter my position just a few dollars up, but with substantially better confirmation for further upside, continuation. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Continuation. Anyways, you get the idea. Right? The thing I want to mention here quickly is the Wyckoff distribution. This is pretty interesting. Tell me this doesn't actually look really similar to what we're experiencing here. So you can see, okay, let me go ahead and open this, open image, a new tab. So here, check it out, right? So the only thing you want to look at is the top right. This is the only thing you want to look at, just this top right. The bottom left is not what we're in. We're in this potential top right situation right here, right? And tell me this NVIDIA pattern right here, I'm gonna remove all indicators, drawings, and tell me this doesn't look very similar, right? Like I feel like I can like almost overlay this on top of it in a way. Let's go here, right? I can like put it like this right here, and tell me this doesn't look very similar. Massive move up over here. Some nice zigzag action ultimately right here. Little bit of a breakdown below the level that we bounced twice. Look at this. Look how beautiful that is. This level right here, and that's that breakdown, right? That's that breakdown right there. Oops, let me go ahead and remove. There we go. Right, and that right there is this breakdown, this little breakdown. And then what do we do after that? What do we do after this little breakdown? According to the Wyckoff distribution, we rally up significantly. What do? We rallied up significantly, pretty much making the same highs we did here, pretty much making the same highs we did here. What do we do after that? We come back down. What do? We came back down. Next, we come back up to retest similar levels. Came up, retested similar levels. After this, should be that massive fall. Massive fall. What do we get? We got the massive fall. And now we're getting a low volume rally. This little retest to retest this level, these levels that were acting as a support before. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Low volume rally, and we're rallying on low volume. You can see the volume on NVIDIA is slowly decreasing as this rally has begun. Let's see. Let's see. That is definitely interesting how it's ridiculously similar. It's like shockingly similar to the overall distribution. Let's see if this actually ends up playing out as such or not. But this would be the final stage. And well, as you saw in that screenshot, if this is truly that Wyckoff distribution, this should reject right here, and we should ultimately make, unfortunately, lower lows, right? Let me just make sure. I'm pretty sure it showed the lower lows there after that, right? I'm almost positive it showed lower lows. Yeah, it did. You can see it showed whatever. Open tab. Yeah, you can see here, right? Lower lows. And I don't think we'll go that low necessarily, but lower lows ultimately is the point. Which unfortunately, this would mean that NVIDIA would probably come back down to about, that 106, 107-ish range. Assuming, of course, assuming we follow that. I'm not saying we will for sure, but assuming we do, that's something to watch out for. But yeah, anyways, that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think down below. Let's see how we react to this general vicinity early next week. And yeah, I'll see you then. Peace.